the attacks on Stephen Sizer, the minister at Virginia Water, the Church of England minister, by his bishop of all people, is the most reprehensible, deplorable attack on free speech in this country. And furthermore, it's an attack upon his rights as a minister of the religion in this country. In the Church of England, people are not, it's not a sort of grand army under control of a central bishop or even the local bishops. The bishops are there in order to provide spiritual guidance to the people. They're not there to rule the flock with a rod of iron, as this newly appointed bishop seems to be doing or wanting to do. And the people he's actually trying to terrorize are his own priests. The people who are subject to him in matters of church discipline, they are the ones who are now the subject of a terrorist attack by this bishop. I forget where he's from. I think it's Bishop of Reading or somewhere like that. But anyway, Stephen Sizer is a well-known and extremely dedicated Christian brother who has done an awful lot in what we as Christians call the Lord's work. He has got great concerns for the churches in the Middle East, which I recommend the Bishop of Reading takes up as a study, instead of seeking to do down one of his most eminent clerics in his diocese. The newly appointed bishop should actually learn from Stephen and go out to the Middle East with him and look at the situation for Christians in the Middle East. Because what's happened is, unfortunately, the American Zionists have teamed up, the Christian Zionists so-called, have teamed up with the Israeli state to make life for Christians in the Middle East extremely difficult. There's been a terrible degree of ethnic cleansing. People are being chucked out of their homes. Churches, which were there for millennia, for centuries anyway, have been forced to close. And the Christians in the Middle East are under attack, both from organizations like ISIL, Daesh, and also the American Zionists, who seem to think that the Israelis have a right to the land, which we basically are saying is whatever rights they've got, and it cannot be based on Scripture. They're not based on theology. They're not based on the Bible. And the American Zionists are completely and totally out of kilter, wrong. How can I describe? They have misunderstood the scriptural teaching about the Holy Land. Now, I personally find, the Holy Land is a land holy to all religions, not just one. And it's holy to Christians, it's holy to Muslims, it's holy to the Druze, it's holy to Jews, obviously. We endeavor to reconstitute the vision of the prophets of old before the exile, or after the exile, I forget which, where they said the mountain of the Lord will be lifted up and all nations shall flow into it. Always the Holy Land has been a place for joviality, for fellowship, for communion between faiths as worshippers of the one God. Unfortunately, the Israeli state has absolutely denies this concept that we have of the Holy Land, of ecumenism. And unfortunately, the Bishop of Reading or whoever is going along with that. He seems to have been directed to make this attack on Stephen by the British board, by the Board of Deputies of British Jews, which is very sad. I think that the Jewish people in Britain should consider very hard the counter-effectiveness of their tactics. By trying to shut up Stephen, all they're doing is making him a martyr, quite rightly, and meaning that his books and his sermons and his views on the Holy Land and upon the position of Jews in the Holy Land and Christians will receive enormous publicity, which they wouldn't have done otherwise. So it's bad tactics from my Jewish friends to do this. I only ask that they try and get somebody in charge of the Jewish lobby who's got a bit of sense, because attacking Stephen Sizer is an act of infamy, an outrage. I cannot believe it. I'm just astonished beyond belief.